Okay, Assy Zubby says, hi, Chris, Bradley, Marco. Can I ask a favor? Until the IFTTT network shows an Ahref, it takes ages. Can you send a diagram how to backlink the network the safe way? Thanks. Yeah, sure. I mean, we can talk about that briefly, but you know, the fact that the IFTTT network links don't show up in Ahrefs doesn't mean they're not there. Okay, they're there, and it doesn't mean they're not being counted. It just means they're not being indexed by Ahrefs. Chances are Google's indexing them, or Google is aware of them, and we've talked about this many times before. But if you, like, for example, if you were to search, look at your backlink profile from an Ahrefs and an Majestic, and in any other backlink tool, like analysis tool, like Moz is probably the worst as far as showing links. They're usually really poor about showing links. But Majestic is pretty bad about showing Web 2 links unless they're particularly powerful. And Ahrefs shows probably the most amount of links through my experience. But even they don't show a lot of the Web 2 links unless, again, they're particularly powerful, which you can boost by building links to your Web 2 URLs, right? And so, you know, I can understand the second part of your question saying, would you send me a diagram on how to backlink the network? Yeah, we can talk about that in just a moment because it's fairly simple. But as far as just the links not showing up in the backlink analysis tools, who cares? Like, honestly, who cares? It's just for your own vanity. Like, and I'm not trying to sound like I'm condescending you specifically, but I'm saying it's a vanity metric. Like, to go look at to want to see the links. My point is, I've always liked the fact that my IFTTT or links don't typically show up in backlink analysis tools because it prevents prying eyes from, it doesn't prevent them, but it makes it more difficult for them to figure out exactly what the hell I'm doing. So remember, if you can see those links in Ahrefs or Majestic, then so can anyone else that's looking at your domain. And so I prefer having my links not being shown to the general public. But if you go to Search Console, if you have your website connected to Google Search Console, although this has changed recently, and Terry Kyle did a blog post on this about 2 or 3 weeks ago, maybe a month ago now, about even Google is starting to show less and less links. But if you go to Search Console and you look at links to your site, it's in the sidebar. I can't remember what the main heading is, but it's in one of the drop downs. And then you click on links to your site, and then you expand to show all links. You can download a report, and it will show you all of the links. At least it used to. Like I said, recently, within the last few weeks, Google's even started to restrict that, but not entirely. But they're not showing the entirety of the backlink profile as they know exists, if that makes sense. So it's becoming more limited in the amount of data that they're going to show you about your backlink profile. But if you go check it, chances are you're going to see Digo links, Delicious links, WordPress, Blogger, Tumblr, the whole IFTTT network. You'll see domains linking to your money site in Search Console. Okay. So that said, you guys want to comment on that while I pull up a diagram real fast? Anybody?
Yeah, what we usually do is to send just a handful of links. You know, that's what has been working for us, just a handful of contextual links backed up with spam. You know, even so, even when you're seeing that the metrics, if you're into metrics at all, like if you're seeing the metrics going up, and when you're seeing rankings going up, which is the main point here, and visitors going up from the feed, for example, you know, from the RSS feed, even at that point, Ahrefs, Majestic, even Google will not show you those links. So you know there's something going on, but you cannot actually tell that's, you know, from whatever tool you're using, because, you know, Ahrefs or whatever doesn't, you know, they do not index your stuff. Or they will not. It's not that they will not index; they will not show you, which are two completely different things. You know.
Right. Right. It's just a matter of them not showing them to you. I mean, they're there. That's my point. Right. Like Google sees your links, and so will Majestic and Ahrefs. But you got to imagine the amount of computing power it takes, guys, to constantly re-index links like that. And that's why in Majestic there's a fresh index and a historic index, because they only keep stuff in their fresh index for about 90 days, and then they let that stuff start to drop out because of the amount of computing power it takes to carry that or to keep it up. Does that make sense? So, you know, Google has the almost unlimited resources when it comes to that. So that's why they're able to index and keep so much stuff the way that they do. But you got to figure Ahrefs and Majestic, they try to limit extra data usage when possible. You know what I mean? So that's in part why it is, and that's why typically, unless it's a particularly powerful Web 2.0 link, you won't see them. Okay. All right. So anyways, I couldn't find the graphic I was looking for right off the bat. So we're just going to use this graphic here. Guys, all you got to do for backlinking IFTTT networks is I'm going to let Hernan talk about it a little bit more, because he's the one that typically will run spam campaigns and stuff like that. But the way that I know that our link building service works is that we build to the tier 1 ring, right? So let's consider this your money site or YouTube, it doesn't matter. But this is your tier 1 ring, your branded ring. We will typically build anywhere between 50 to 125 links to each individual property that are contextual links, typically on higher metric properties that we've scraped. We've scraped custom, what do they call it? Target sites or whatever, custom lists for our link building campaigns. And we build links to the contextual links, higher metric properties to there, anywhere between 50 to 125 per network property. And then we throw spam behind those. So it ends up being tier 2 links to your network properties, which end up being your tier 2 links to your network properties are ultimately your tier 3 links to your money site. Does that make sense? So you don't want to point just kitchen sink spam at your network properties, because, well, at least not to a branded network. Persona network's a bit different. But for branded networks, guys, you don't want to throw kitchen sink spam directly at them, because they're extensions of your brand. You want to try to treat them. You can be a bit more abusive with them than you can with your own money site. There's no doubt, but you don't want to completely abuse them, right? You want to try to keep the link profile somewhat clean to your tier 1 network. And then behind that, you can throw kitchen sink spam, at least as it stands today. At some point that may change.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. And we have been using this technique for quite a while now, sending, anywhere between 50 to 100, 150 links, contextual links, of course. And this also applies, guys, for PBNs. If you're doing PBNs, and if you're not sure to link to your money site, just link to Twitter, or link to a WordPress blog that you're syndicating your content to. Link to your Facebook page, link to your Google+, as long as you need to be a little bit more careful with Google properties, but you know what I'm talking about. If you're doing SAPE, I know that a lot of mastermind members are doing SAPE. So you can use this firewall to send those links to them, And what's really good about this is that you can start using detachable link juice, and this is a concept by Terry Kyle as well, 301, or, Switchbox SEO. That means that if you're not entirely sure about the quality or the precedence of those links, what you could do is to link to a 301 and then see what happens. Link it to point that 301 to your website and wait for 15, 20 days. Detach that link juice and point it to an internal page and see what happens. Detach that and link it to a WordPress blog, to the homepage. And then you can, link it back to a 301 to, an internal page, and see where the link juice does most of the damage. I think that we should be starting to think about that. And again, as Bradley was saying, we really think that your Facebook profile, YouTube, LinkedIn, about.me, or all of the other properties that we update on the V2 IFTTT SEO Academy version 2.0 webinars, that we add a ton of new properties every month. All of those are extension of your brand. So you need to be careful. But as long as you keep it, low, and you can spam like on the tier 3, tier 4 and onwards,